We're going to go to the top right-hand side of the map. Our red Terran player is GuMiho here in game number 1 of the quarterfinals. Just came out of that round of 12 match very comfortably against Max Packs. And now gets rewarded with an opportunity to play against the blue Zerg Dark in the bottom left corner of the map. So, Dark and GuMiho. Let's see what goes down. These two, I feel like, I think of them and I think of definitely their series in the Gamers Without Borders, the Gamers 8 qualifiers. I thought that was a very good series, and that was one that GuMiho was very unfortunate not to quite get the better of Dark in. It definitely made me feel as though GuMiho was an extremely good contender at this sort of level. However, their history, you know, makes a statement. The last time GuMiho won was against Dark was the WardiTV Korean Royale in the group stage. And I think, that wasn't so long ago, and it wasn't. But since then, Dark has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row against GuMiho. Now that is a number that doesn't lie. So Dark on a 10 series winning streak. GuMiho, he's gotten close to, the closest he got to breaking him was definitely in that Gamers Without Borders and the GSL they played just after then as well. But he's not gotten the better of him, so this might be a uphill battle for GuMiho in this series. We'll see what comes out of it. You guys think GuMiho wins today? Okay, I'd be excited, man. If it was a TVZ semifinal as well, I'd be down for that. Factory comes up over on the edge. It's going to be seeing that barracks coming through. Hatch, pool. All this coming out also as we got things set up and rolling for the early few moments. That factory obviously just coming down around the edges away from the barracks, right? So it's a little bit less likely to see this be a reactor on that factory. So yeah, a little bit intriguing. Do you wonder if that's going to be something that really becomes noteworthy for us in the next few moments or not? Dark beat GuMiho 2-1 earlier this morning. Yeah, in KSL, right? I don't worry, that one's already on the Iligulak as well. I already checked it. Yeah, these, they play a lot of cups. I mean, ESL Open Cups basically multiple weeks in a row. They actually played in, they played in Sweden as well, I believe. The DreamHack. Yeah, they play a lot, man. They play a lot. I haven't checked in on KSL replays in a while, have we? Just thinking about it. Maybe those are some we'll jump into at some point. It's going to be seeing our fusion core on the way. This barracks never got an add-on going, which is obviously a little bit strange. So GuMiho is going to play very GuMiho in the start of this one. Fusion core is obviously very much akin to how he usually likes to kind of get things going. So getting that fusion core up and rolling. Tech Lab is coming through. Just getting that up and running on that starport here. Again, fusion core finishing in a few moments' time. Interesting to just see no add-on at all on the, sorry, you're absolutely doing my head in with all these zooms. That's indie cam for a bit, because I don't want... And he was like, I'm going to make Wardy dizzy, I'm going to zoom in, left, right, and center on everything. Stop. Yeah, no add-on on the barracks, but Dark doesn't really get to see this at all, so GuMiho just goes towards this fusion core, tries to get this battle cruiser up, and see if we can make this surprising enough to have some impact. As we get this one ready to start. Do have ourselves the Yamato cannon coming up, so getting that started as well. Is this from the most recent ESL? No, this is from the event you're watching right now, the WardiTV Spring Championship. Right here, right now. So that's what we do on this channel. We make events so that when stuff like ESL isn't on, we fill the gaps in the schedule and make sure there's pretty much always StarCraft to watch. Well, that's what we try and do. We don't always succeed, but we make a pretty good go of it. Fusion core, again that Yamato online. We'll see if that's going to be able to truly get up and make a difference. Here's the first BC, will teleport across the map. Goes in behind the main base, it's just going to go chilling over there for a few moments. Skull Crawler is here. There's no transfusion available on nearby queens, however, so this first queen will drop. Couple of drones, make it 3. Not a bad start. BC is also pretty good HP after this as well, so as we'll get this Overlord, this BC should be able to stick around still for a while and maybe make another poke forward to try and find something else. Those queens do have transfusions, though. Not sure if we're going to really be able to kind of justify sticking around and fighting into those. With transfuse, it just becomes that little bit more difficult. So I do think trying to steer away from that is potentially pretty smart. Again, Fusion Core still coming up for the moment, so just bringing this through and getting a lot of this going. Overseer flies into the main base. Spire's coming through. The few roaches are still on the way. The Overlords as well. The Marines get underneath and going to go working their way through this Overseer too. Battlecruiser's going to be finishing. Spire halfway done also. With the second starport, we are really going to double down on these BCs. Well, you teleport across. The scary part of this, as we Yamato down a queen, yeah, the really scary part of this, Yamatos and these queens as well, means that these transfusions don't get to go anywhere. He transfuses a full HP queen just to give it a heart to heal over time. But, yeah, if the Spire gets up, it's scary because then the Corruptors are perhaps going to be able to overwhelm this. So we do target down the Spire here a little bit, but we've put some damage on queens as well. The target fire hasn't only been on the Spire. I feel like that was a mistake from GuMiho. No? Because he kind of put the pressure on the Spire as though to cancel it. But then he didn't go all the way through to cancel the Spire either, so I'm not sure why he changed target so much. Like, he put so much damage on it. Now Corruptors are on the way. I honestly, if he'd killed the Spire, I would have felt great for him. 2 more BCs show up. There's even more, queens to fight. I even feel like losing the BC to guarantee the Spire kill would have been amazing. And he would have had it. He just started targeting queens. I just don't understand why. I don't understand why he starts targeting queens when it seems like he's already committed to the Spire. A strange decision. Maybe just a misclick, right? Maybe just a little bit of a misplay getting those BCs to keep on targeting while he's moving them around. You have 2 more factories on the way up. This will be mech behind it, of course, but of course you're so committed to these initial BCs that if they, a lot of your game lies on these BCs right now. So for the moment, still very much so about these BCs. Yes, the extra factories and everything is great and all, but these BCs are kind of your main army for the moment. And there's another BC comes to join up at the front. Hellions just chilling out. A couple of Lings taking some damage. Corruptors on the way through. Queens are here to hit these Hellions a little bit. We're going to make our way into this mineral line. 2 drones already going down. Queen's going to get themselves another Hellion as well. A few roaches still coming out. Just pushing those Hellions back up to the watchtower. A lot of BCs still looking down the right side. Couple tanks, couple more Hellions coming out. Corrupt is coming through as well here from Dark. +1 flyer attack as you do have the BCs still working their way down to the bottom. Planes coming in, 3 drones already getting picked away at. We do see ourselves the BC send up as well. Obviously 3 drones is very manageable. Dark can rebuild off of 3 worker losses. That is not something that's going to be a major constraint for him, so yeah, he can get back up off of that, no issue. As we do still have BCs being made, right? So we're making 2 more battlecruisers here. Corruptor count continues to rise. We're at 21, going to 27, 28 even. I mean, I guess you can't really complain about that, right? Because that's a bunch of Yamatos. You can't complain about the Corruptor count because there's so many BCs. I think every single Corruptor is justified. We killed a BC there. Getting the 2 shot off. Usually you very rarely see that happen, but we're at such a high Corruptor count, and we can go to this high of a Corruptor count because... yeah, we can go to this Corruptor count because of the fact that GuMiho is playing just so many BCs. If you stop at 3 BCs, you kind of keep the Zerg in a weird place. They can never justify enough Corruptors to, realistically get a snipe on a battlecruiser, but they have to keep that amount of Corruptors up to slowly ping the BCs away whenever they choose to harass. And then it just eats into their supply bit as well. Now you can really justify most of your supply being these Corruptors. And then it's just so much easier to get rid of the BCs. So it feels like every BC you build makes it more difficult for these BCs to survive. They don't have teleports here, but we do have stacked defense. We'll lose 1 tank in the front to start us out, however. Two more Ravagers being brought in. Corruptors, Ravagers, Roaches coming up this top side. Going to be seeing our couple Hellbats coming through to the front here. Try and get something done as see a couple of those start to go down. The Cyclone's staying gathered up as well. PC's just going to stay overhead. We do have ourselves a couple of these Hellbats in the mineral line here. Start get picked away. Our Corrosive Val is going to knock down one siege tank. Now these battle cruisers begin to drop. One goes down. A couple of Corrosive Vals eaten. They don't teleport that far away. They're going to try and bait the Corruptors further into the turrets. I just don't think it matters because these BCs fall. There's no way to deal with the Roach Ravager force, and Dark is going to find himself in one of our quarterfinals. The correct button I pressed. In the top left-hand side, we're going to have ourselves the red Zerg player taking the 1-0 lead in this best of 5. It is Dragon Kaiser Gaming's Dark. And he goes up against the Blue Terran in the bottom right corner of the map. This is GuMiho. Game number 2. And we look towards what might happen in this duel. Yeah, obviously GuMiho trying something funky last game. Just, I really wonder what would have happened if he'd killed the Spire. Like, he killed like 2 queens and then most of the Spire health. If he just clicked the Spire all the way through, even if you give up a BC, I wonder if it's good enough. Just because then you have so many more BCs still coming in, the Spire is obviously going to take a while to get up, and you've only got queens. I'm not sure. It was just such a shame because it would have been such a fun scenario, I feel like, if we'd killed the Spire. It was just a double whammy when he didn't kill it because, again, he put so much effort into killing it to then not kill it. Then it really felt as though like there was like just doubling down, not really any chance or opportunity to get anything done, right? So Rotron coming up here. Dark is not messing around on Neo Humanity. He's going full aggro mode. He is not going to wait for anything. CC comes up. Reaper's on the way here from GuMiho as well. But most notably, that Rotron on the way out here from Dark. Going to be a big deal. Oh, this is the fun part of the day where the Korean server decides to kick us off. De-stream for a little, because this is not going to end. So, Dark attacked with roaches, and GuMiho held. He had a bunker on the low ground that I think fell, but by the time it fell, he'd already killed off a couple of roaches. And yeah, TLDR, GuMiho just got a really reasonable defense going here. So holds on. It's 40 workers to 43. Army supplies are pretty similar across the board. Apologies for the little bit that we missed. We do have ourselves the things continue to just kind of wander around a little bit there. Let's continue to move around a little. On the other side of the map, going to get a queen, going to go for a couple of those drones. Now going to lift off and jump in towards the main base. There's going to be a queen in a little bit of trouble here as well, as we have the roaches taking some shots. So GuMiho putting on some pressure, following up from this defense in a pretty good way for himself so far. 46 to 41 workers, so has a worker lead for the moment. Vex load back up on the left-hand side, just going to be peeling away. Just have the CC, the couple Medivacs, Tank Marines, and the +1 coming through on the side of GuMiho, so bringing all of that. I mean, you look at the production tabs, it's a tale of two very different halves, right? Dark's going all in, right? Like, he has just stopped building drones again, he's just going to build Ling Ravager. And GuMiho is absolutely setting up to play a longer game, but I don't think he's necessarily in a difficult position where it's like, oh man, he's not prepped for, like, this attack. I don't love that those two tanks are so far forward. And I don't love that they're stacked. If they were split apart, I wouldn't mind it. The fact they're stacked is terrifying because three Ravager bars, suddenly you lose 2 tanks. That's 66% of your splash damage. Ravagers are still seen here as well. GuMiho seemingly confident though. There's a lot of army for Dark. He's making even more roaches. If GuMiho actually pushes across the map and doesn't realize that Dark is being as aggressive as he is, It could be a problem, man. These corrosive bars, well, we're going to boost far enough forward that that's not an issue. The corrosive bars actually went towards the rocks, so knocking down the center of the map. And I guess this from GuMiho is going to keep Dark a little bit concerned, a little bit on edge, and it keeps Dark at home. As long as when the eventual fight happens, these units have also returned home, and they're also going to be able to make a pretty decent stand for themselves. I don't really hate it. We try to drop here. Again, as long as we don't lose too much, I think that's okay. It's the kind of thing you can just go for the moment. That's our corrosive bars. He's been trying to knock these medevacs out of the sky, but it feels like they're constantly boosting. They're constantly staying well away from danger. I don't think they've ever truly been in danger there at all. Rest of this army from GuMiho coming across. The Marines gonna nab an Overlord there. The Lings and the Ravagers gonna go through this set of rocks as well. Gonna knock that down. Gonna open this up. GuMiho is still working up the left side. I mean, again, Doc is all in right now. GuMiho just needs to be a little careful not to go a little bit too heavy on the offense himself. I mean, army supplies now, I guess, are a lot closer, and I guess Dark has started a lair in 1-1. So I guess he's not completely all in anymore, but he built so many units in an all-in fashion that the idea of him having been very committed is still there. And if you've still been very committed, right, that's still expensive to then go attacking into that as the Terran player. Forcing trades, I guess, sometimes is nice. I just wonder if this was a trade you didn't even have to force necessarily. But, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to make these calls because you don't know exactly the drone count every single time. I think as long as GuMiho stays active enough to keep a fourth base down, he should be able to stay very positive and, you know, feel as though he stays in a pretty good position throughout. More Lings coming up, and Marines up on the top side, just going to chill with the medevac as well. Just going to be seeing a couple Liberators continuing to produce. And one thing I'm scared of is that Dark has to infest as he starts to drag this game out. This is the kind of game where it's like, you know, Dark should never win this, and then Dark wins it anyways, right? Like, we've all been here before. We've seen it happen. Like, Dark is just that kind of player where he makes things like this work when a lot of the time you maybe shouldn't be able to make these things work, right? So, yeah, it's something to keep in mind that, you know, I still don't necessarily want GuMiho to run into fights he can't take, but the longer it goes, the more I worry about GuMiho, because I do think Dark is a beast. And even playing out of these weirder situations, that's exactly where Dark excels a lot of the time as well. So, even more reason to kind of be a bit worried for GuMiho. Because I really feel like at the moment, we're just ending up playing into a little bit of Dark's strength. So I guess we'll see. Scanning out. And as we scan, just again an idea of what's going where. GuMiho just takes a very forward fourth base, so looking to be very confident with his expansion still. Liberator sieges up on the corner. The Queen is going to get a couple shots off, and that Lib continue to take quite a few hits here as our Marine stim up. Ravagers, Roaches, Lings continue through. Big Marine stim is going to be seeing the Lings and Ravagers continue to come on forward. The Roaches as well. That tank's going to be set there also for just a little bit. Alley upgrade coming through. The Hive is on the way out. It's a lot of army from GuMiho taking some steps forward. That one tank on that left side edge. 12 more Banelings producing here. The melee upgrade still coming in as well. Medevac tries to show up. Plus 2 Carapace coming in. The melee upgrade still coming through too. A few Marines trying to get to the front, but the units there are going to say hello and kind of say no. And GuMiho is slowly pushing. Eventually can start taking fights in this choke point where if Roach Ravager moves forward, they're going to take an absolute blasting straight away. Guys, I'm going to blow your minds here. I'm very aware that there's no game volume, because I too would be able to hear the fact that there's no game volume. I know. Shocking news. Yeah, we're having a restream right now because the Korean server kicked us out of the game and the players didn't come out for us, so Marines continue through. Ravages are going to take a bit of a beating for a couple moments, and it just feels as though GuMiho, he's taking a lot of damage to a counterattack. The counterattack at Dock is pretty scary, getting a lot done. I think GuMiho sent a group of Marines back to deal with this, though, so it's going to start melting. Those roaches just don't stand a chance, especially down in upgrades. They are absolutely getting destroyed. Marine's going to find this infested, though. Dock's supply overall is dropping. It looks as though we are heading to a 1-1 tied-up game in that quarterfinals. So quarterfinals going to get all tied up. Game is called, and GuMiho is going to take game number 2. So we get tied up, just like that. The top left-hand side, our red Zerg player. This is going to be Dragon Kaiser Gaming's Dock. Taking on the bottom right, our blue Terran player. Getting the equalizer after defending well initially. It is GuMiho in this bottom right-hand side of Grezvan. Game 3 then, here on Grezvan. Let's see what gets into action as we jump on in. Hatchery goes down on the natural expansion. We get this set up. So hatchery first from Dark. No surprises there. Even if you were going to be kind of aggressive. CC coming out. Rax and gas coming through. Overlord heading down around the map here. A couple drones coming in. Hatchery as well. Everything kind of normal in the early stages. You love my sound effects, mate. I actually just, you know, I'm terrible at like imagining things. Like when people are like, "What does an overlord sound like?" I'm like, I actually have no idea what an overlord sounds like, and even more so, I have zero idea how to recreate it. So. If you give me the overload sound, then you said recreate it, maybe, right? But like, not hearing the overload sound, then being like, right, Woody, out of nowhere, do the overload sound. I'm like, cannot achieve this. My brain's just like, nope. My brain just doesn't work like that. My brain just doesn't work like that at all. Alrighty, friends, as we get ourselves set up, Reaper gonna come out around the side. It's gonna work its way along over here. And have a little bit of a peek to see what's happening. Link speed coming up. Factory in a second, racks coming in. So we are gonna go 2 racks at least after the factory. We're not gonna go for the starport. That also means we're not going to go super fast 3cc here from GuMiho. It's definitely going to stay on the pressure. Definitely going to try and apply a little bit more pressure here in general. That seems to be the plan. As our link speed continues through and our queen's coming up. Drones on the way. Hatchery not far from being done from Dark, as obviously this is typically still pretty standard across the board. Single Hellion though keeps the reactor on the barracks. I suppose that part of this is a little bit more intriguing, a little bit different. Alright, well, we continue to build Marines. Medevac now on the way. Actually kind of intrigued as to how this is all going to end up. Let's see, stim pack on the way too. I just wonder what the overall time it is. What have we got right now? So maybe like Hellion, Marine drop, Hellion run by. Sounds like we just loaded up the Marines, so they're going to go across the map in the medevac. So that does seem to be the initial plan here at the very least. The Hellions are hanging back though, so they're not going to make too much of a move too quickly. Just going to stay back and chill for a little bit. Evo chamber coming out, and so far, nothing really too exhilarating going on. Marine drop into this corner. Going to be the point of interest here for just a second, as we do see the Queen going to take a few shots. The Marine's trying to stay around the edge, trying to get something done. If they could get a Queen kill, I feel like that alone would be pretty nice for them. I feel like they'd be pretty happy with that as a result. As the Hellions do dive into the third base in the end, they're going to get a few drones here, so the multi-prong of GuMiho is now going to work out. 6 workers killed. Honestly, it wasn't that many Hellions, so I actually don't mind it that much. 6 kills seems pretty good for what we committed in. Early damage as well, right? The earlier you hit that drone count, the better. 3 Hellions, 2 Marines, and a Reaper lost this game for 6 drones, feelings. I'm down for that, man. I am down for that. Oh, I'm just going to be seeing that melee upgrade still coming through. +1 on combat shield on the way up. No +1 armor from GuMiho. Third CC is on the way, so he's not going to be fully committed to a 2 base attack, which is sometimes I feel like the case in these kind of scenarios. You end up kind of going like full on 2 base, especially when it's like a single engineering bay, but yeah, GuMiho we can see is absolutely not about that life right now. He starts to push out, so it's still going to be an aggressive initial push, but he has a follow-up to it. What I'm worried about is the Baneling Nest is only just now starting from Dark. Like, he's not going to have access to anything good here. Upgrades aren't done. Baneling Nest isn't ready. This actually feels kind of terrifying. As a few links start to move across, tanks will begin to get sieged up, will begin to get into position. A little bit more creep spread getting cleaned out as well, so we just, really open up this area. We've got that base on the right side that should be a pretty easy grab. All things considered, too, as the links come through. A couple tank shots. Going to be pretty respectable there as well. Like I said, this base should be an easy grab from here. The creep spread's so far pushed back. It's going to be very difficult to do much else of this. Things run in. Big counterattack going to hit a lot of these SCVs, so we knock a bunch of these down straight away. Siege tanks are going to do a pretty decent job of holding the wall off, and while we did take some initial damage, we've now cleaned that counterattack up. GuMiho is trailing though, and has this just bought Dark enough time back at home to be fully ready and fully prepared for the next step. Dark is only ahead by 5 workers. I actually think GuMiho doesn't even need to stick around here right now. I actually think going home might not be the most terrible choice for him. Just kind of look towards the future, look towards a different state of this game. Banes continue down the left-hand side. We've got +2/+2 melee upgrades continuing in. Burrow, Bane Speed, Infestation Pit all coming out for the moment. Let's bring a lot of this through here. We have our +2 attack is starting up, and obviously that's going to be GuMiho. He's just about even up the upgrades, but obviously in general it is Dark has got an upgrade lead. 2-2 is halfway done. Versus the +2 attack being a little bit behind the 2-2. And then obviously +2 armor not even started because +1 armor is only just finished on the Terran side of things. So a lot to be watching out for upgrade wise, but it definitely feels pretty decent for Dark. I don't know, I feel like I like the way it got set up for GuMiho. I feel like a lot of it was actually okay, but there's a couple things in the tail end here maybe slipping slightly. As we do have the tank is blasting a little. These Marines having to back away just in general. It's a lot of lings that begin to move on through, that begin to push across the map here. Hive is about halfway in for the moment. As our links continue by, just going to go for a massive setup. We prepare the Banelings, right? We get ready to take this battle. Bane's going to come running through. Just going to be seeing the Ling Bane coming across. SCV's in trouble. GuMiho mostly defending behind his natural, but I guess that doesn't help you out too much on the third base. However, he's got his own attack. He's losing so many SCVs, though. He has to do so much with his drops across the map. I mean, he's got potential with them, though. The opportunity is absolutely there. The chance absolutely available. Can he actually get the delivery to do enough? As he does kill the base top left, top side of the map, so that's just going to be picked away at here. This medevac just going to lift up and retreat. Only 4 workers killed, I think, is the biggest issue. You probably wanted a lot more workers out of this if you're truly going to see success. Like I say, this base up here is nice, but that's going to keep Dark to 4 bases. Well, 4 bases is fine. I guess GuMiho is getting to 4 bases too, but he doesn't have the SCVs to utilize 4 bases is the big difference of all. Things come running through. A few medevacs gonna have to be a little cautious. Three melee upgrades starting up from Dark as well. I think for everything that GuMiho has achieved, it's just suddenly a case of, well, the game slows down again, right? And now that the game slows down again, you know, Dark starts to really power up. He gets his bases reset. He gets the, you know, he already has the drone count, so it's just a case of getting the base back online to get those drones somewhere to mine from. GuMiho has so much SDV rebuilding to do. I am impressed though that he gets to 4 bases. I think that obviously does give him a good bit of hope. That's probably the most hopeful part of this right now for him. The extra Banes morphing up and getting set to rumble as you do have a few Vipers making their way down. Adrenal Glands, 3 upgrades, all of this coming through as well. It's going to be seeing a little bit of healing still being set up as well as our Bio Army sets up down on the south. This army in the center, Dark, getting ready to rumble. As you see, our Marauder, our Medevac still producing. I feel like Dark's just going to max, and I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit biased towards Dark, because I just feel, I feel like I'm like, well, I look at the position and maybe GuMiho ain't as bad as I feel for him, but it's just Dark has the work count. I guess GuMiho just needs to be able to take good fights. It's not impossible. With Ultras coming out, it's going to be a little bit tougher for sure. Like I say, not impossible, and like I say, maybe I'm just being a little bit biased towards Dark. For the positioning right now, maybe it ain't quite as bad as I think it is. Let's see what this fight looks like, as yeah, Dark can't move forward, so if that's the situation, then maybe GuMiho really is just okay for now. A little bit more damage being done. Our Lings and our Banes come back across this right-hand side. I mean, obviously, this is GuMiho pushing forward a little bit. This is honestly not a bad fight, right? There's a lot of Lings off creep that are, you know, stacked up. Even the tanks will do pretty well against those. Could have been a whole lot worse as our Parasitic Bomb's going to fade. We do get a few Banelings here. GuMiho taking the kind of fights I mentioned he needed. Again, Ultras are going to be a different beast, but for the moment, I think manageable because there's not too many Ultras. And there's a lot of Marauders in the Terran army. About to finish up +3 attack, important to give him a little bit more kind of damage output against those Ultras, for example, and just everything else in general. There we go, Dog going to push down this ramp, but he's always pushing down one ramp from one direction. The splash damage of GuMiho should have the best possible chance of doing very well here, and he does push back. Of course, because you're on Dark's side of the map, you're giving Dark as little time as possible to rebuild out of these positions. Which means that Dark's bank, in this case, he is going to get the chance because GuMiho can't go forward quickly enough. He lost so many medevacs. The parasitic bombs on those medevacs were absolutely huge. If there wasn't those parasitic bombs, and this army gets healed up straight away, I think GuMiho might just have a push to actually, maybe not close it out, but to stay alive at the very least, right? There's a few Lings trying to trail forward here. A couple of Marauders going to end up dropping to the high ground. GuMiho is going to get this base. There's plenty of other bases at this point from Dark, who is counter-attacking as well. This planetary has been up a while. It's not going to see any contest here, though. It is just going to get rolled over. 2 Lings still going down. The Queen's still taking hits. As our hatchery is going to go dropping very soon. Yeah, I mean, again, GuMiho is achieving something on the other side still. but he's taking damage himself, and these trades benefit Dark, because Dark is the player that's just got a little bit more setup already. So base for base, pretty respectable. There's a couple more Vipers coming out. A few more Lings coming in as well. Well, Banes up here don't do too much. GuMiho's army supply is still good. The biggest question is, again, can he just get through this round of Dark? He just needs, like, one really good fight, and it was doable still, perhaps, but anything that went wrong for him, and it was going to fall apart, and that's exactly what happened. Dark takes game 3, up in the lead in the top right-hand side. We're going to start off with the red Zerg player. He leads 2-1 in this best-of-5 series in the quarterfinals, looking to make the semis, where he would play against Scarlet. This is Dark. Up against the blue Terran in the bottom left-hand corner. We've got ourselves GuMiho. Game 4 of our best of 5. Can GuMiho bring it back with the Proxy Rex? Setting up over on that left-hand side. Proxy Rex number 1 is already put into place. That's Proxy Rex number 2. GuMiho to try and tie up the series here. Even gonna go triple Rex. Dark gonna go pool first, however. Pool first is obviously a pretty decent blind counter to a Proxy Rex like this. So this is gonna put Dark into a pretty reasonable starting point for setting up here. All 3 of these barracks coming online. And the Swarm Pool is... Now, the Swarm Pool is good, but it's not a guaranteed win, especially if you don't know it's coming still. There is still a world where this can end up a little bit rough for you, so... Don't get me wrong, it's not great. It's not great, but it's still okay. Okay, the Roachron's going to make it even worse again. I'm trying to give some hope to GuMiho, guys. And the game is just like, no. There will be no hope for you. SCVs are seen now by the Overlord. So basically, if you want to, you can give up the low ground here because you're going Roaches blindly, but in this case, I'm not even sure if it's necessary. SCVs will still try and get this first bunker up, try and delay whatever Dark gets built. If you can get the bunker up, that's still something you have to fight against this Dark. But you'll never take enough damage to actually just die here, as the SCV actually helping a few pokes and prods helps get rid of these Lings a bit more quickly. Good SCV. Helps out a little bit. Ex-Marine showing up. I think it's difficult to actually lose this hat-trick because the Roaches show up so quickly, but the Roach run is, you know, going to pop the first few Roaches now. The bunker is going to be done, so you can hop into this bunker. The few Marines getting in there straight away. The Marines picking their way through that hatches. I mean, honestly, the Roaches do want to go. At this point, I think if you fight here as Dark, GuMiho target fires down the hatchery and gets the kill guaranteed, which is still nice then for GuMiho. Yeah, we're going to kill off a few of the Roaches that run by. Oh, come on, we've got to finish those low HP ones off at the very least. You can't let those get away. He does, and now he should just be still targeting the Roaches. I really feel like we should target the hatchery, no? The SCVs are going to try and dive. We get rid of another Roach. The SCVs for the moment will keep this alive. Okay. Hatchery is still going to survive as well, but we killed off a lot of Roaches. I guess there is a choice you have to make, right, where if you don't kill off the Roaches, you're going to be in more trouble of the counterattack. But obviously now it comes at the price of letting the hatchery live when it was so close to going down. Yeah, thank you, Norbash Bash, for the 5-month resub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, Danny LeVeteran earlier with the resub too. Thank you guys for all the subs. As we do have ourselves the Roaches coming across the other side. Back at home, Factory's only just now building the bunker coming up. I don't know how many Marines are going to get in this bunker. Okay, we have enough to fully fill it, so maybe it won't be so bad. This Overlord will provide high ground vision. And Dark begins to drone up the hatchery that never fell on that natural. Barracks obviously making their slow return home. It feels like they take an eternity to fly back when it's being some kind of a proxy play like this, right? So just waiting on that to pan out as well. So I guess our barracks providing some vision of where these Roaches are too, so letting you know that I guess no further attacks are coming in the near future. Maybe see now a couple of extractors still coming through. And you do have concussive shells coming up. Going to start building a couple more marauders just in case of more roaches arriving at some point. Marauders then continue to set up. Again, concussive shells coming through. Roaches, Ravagers, couple of drones. Everything getting going for the moment. Well, the units have to be made from dark just in case GuMiho comes across with more units or some kind of a weird all-in. We can see that that's obviously not necessarily going to be the case, but dark doesn't know that. As Marine and the Cyclone in the corner are going to go after that Overlord as well. It's just going to start chipping through that, dealing a little bit more damage there. It's going to work their way straight through this, and well, the Ravagers are already on this side. This is where the Marauders and concussive shells can be put to use if they can get a grab on these Ravagers at all. Not sure if they'll get the chance. Cyclone locked onto the Overlord for a few moments, trying to remove high ground vision. Start a run up here. First Ravager morphing in as well. It's going to protect that hurting Roach. SCVs are going to pull as GuMiho. His tournament life on the line here in the quarterfinals. Looks as though it's going to come to a close, and Dark is going to secure us a ZvT in the first semi-final of the tournament today. As Dark will take on Scarlet in this upper semi. That will be coming up